On the line with us is our old buddy, Congressman Mark Pocan at the, it's Middays with Mark. It's today Thursday, right? Thursday edition, second hour. Hey, Congressman, great to have you with us.
Thanks, Tom. And yeah, sorry, I was on the road the last couple of days up in Minnesota working on some races in Duluth and the Twin Cities. So, but glad to be here today. Thanks for having me.
Great. And I should, add, of course, Middays with Mark, Congressman Pocan will be with us for the full hour, taking your calls on whatever topic you want to talk about. It's sort of a anything goes Thursday, I guess. But I had a couple of questions for you, sir. I went off yesterday loudly and angrily, and I still am. My mind is blown that Gannett, the largest publisher of newspapers in America, in USA Today, the largest circulation newspaper in the United States, published a, quote, op-ed. Apparently, this was a White House press release that some eager beaver at Gannett thought, hey, let's put the president's name on this and publish this as an op-ed, got permission from the White House and did that, in which literally every sentence is a lie, and the vast majority of the lies are lies about Democrats. And these same ads are being echoed in these attack ads that are being paid for by the Koch brothers through Paul Ryan's super PAC that we're seeing. I'm seeing them here in Oregon. We're seeing them all over the country. And this morning on MSNBC on Morning Joe, they were talking about how race, they just went through this list of race after race after race, where 2-3 weeks ago, it was really obvious the Democrats were winning. And right now the Republicans are winning because the $300 million that the Koch brothers promised to pour into the elections is now starting to hit the TV stations. What the hell is going on here?
Yeah, well, I think we're seeing it a drop more on the Senate than on the House side, but, it's going to have an effect when you put that kind of money in with the depth of lies. I mean, Paul Ryan's super PAC has been the sleaziest super PAC, I think, in history from what I've seen on the ads they put across. There seems to be no more standards whatsoever in how they're putting things out, attacking people's families, lying about changing their names to try to avoid, who they are. I mean, it's just a serious distortion of reality. But one of the big themes they're putting out right now, and I think there's an interesting thing we can do at this time, is going after Medicare for all. They're putting out a crazy large price tag, trying to claim that it does a whole bunch of things. And as you said, there have been a number of articles breaking down line by line in Donald Trump's column about the distortions and lies he put about explaining that. But I look at it two ways. One, Reuters had a poll about a month ago where 70% of the people in the country support Medicare for all, including 52% of Republicans. So I think they're trying to do a little pushback because they realize this is a popular idea. But two, I was just on a call today and I talked to some of the progressive organizations that we work with as progressive caucus members. And what they said is, a lot of these districts where they're running these ads, people are going to win. And we're going to be able to show that whether you support Medicare for all or not, they're going to accuse you of it. But you're still going to win because the public wants this. And there may be actually a real silver lining to this because we're able to show people that Medicare for all is not a fringe issue or a dangerous issue, but it's actually the mainstream of where the public is. And I think we can use it effectively towards the next session in that regard. So I think it's a huge miscalculation they put out there. But, again, the bigger the lie, the more money they can put behind it is what they're doing right now in campaigns across the country.
Remarkable. And, excuse me, and finally, before we start picking up phone calls, the Congressional Progressive Caucus, you guys have big plans. You've been fundraising for this progressive center. Tell us about this.
Yeah, so, on the outside, on the 501c3 side, the nonprofit side, we've been working for about a year and a half in changing bylaws, the board of directors, the name of the organization, and for the last 4 months raising $1.5 million, which was our kickoff amount to hire an executive director. We want to have a staff on the outside to work with the Progressive Caucus members and the progressive groups around the country to really connect all those great ideas and all the energy in the progressive movement with progressives in Congress where we can actually actualize the change. So we're going to have a couple policy people, a couple outreach people working with the national progressive groups, communication staff, an executive director, development director, full-time fellows going in some of the key members' offices, because if we take the majority, we have 13 members of our caucus poised to be committee chairs and 30 poised to be subcommittee chairs, which means we're in a position to govern in many ways.
A lot of progressives.
And we're also trying to diversify the staff. We got a whole bunch of goals, but the good news is this has become a reality. This is kind of taking the old Democratic study group that existed pre-Newt Gingrich. He got rid of it, giving it a redo for 2018, 2019, and we're going to be ready to hit the ground running in January with this so we can actually actualize progressive policy change. So we're really proud to announce it. Pramila Jayapal from Seattle and I have been leading the effort, and we're very excited about the possibilities that it's going to have. That's
spectacular. Is there any call for action to average citizens, voters? Are you reaching out to the public for fundraising, or is this just a, hey, heads up?
I think it's a heads up because at this point we literally are hiring the executive director. We wanted to show how serious we were by having pre-funding for a year in the bank before we even put the position out. So we're hiring up right now, hopefully being in place by January. We will do grassroots fundraising down the road. At this point it's been from foundations, unions, and some individuals who've written some fairly decent-sized checks. But we're going to be opening it up probably in the next several months as we get the staff hired. But we're just very excited to let people know that the progressives are ready to hit the ground running in January, so it should be a good session.
That is spectacular. So let's pick up some phone calls here. Sure. Emily in Bullhead City, Arizona. You're on the air with Congressman Mark Pocan. Emily.
Hi. I have an interesting take on this article that came out in USA Today. Mm-hmm. And to me, they put it out at the same time that the early voting started to catch all these people going to vote early voting.
To get them to just vote straight Republican. That makes sense. Congressman, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, so we have rolling voting dates in a few states, but you're right. There was a mass that kind of hit right now. I think this is a bigger strategy for them, that they're desperate. When you look at the campaigns they're running through Paul Ryan's Super PAC, almost none of them are on issues. They're not talking really about health care. They're not talking about good-paying jobs or infrastructure. They're not talking about the culture of corruption in Washington. They talk about personal attacks and going after people's families and arrests they may have had when they were 18 or 20 years old. And I think, this is something where they're trying to get into the policy arena to put something to scare people. But unfortunately, people are already scared that they're going to lose their health care, and that's why 70% of the people support a Medicare for All concept. So I think they're way behind, and this is kind of trying to give them some ability to talk about health care in a very obviously manipulated way, since 52% of Republicans also supported Medicare for All in that Reuters poll. They know they're in trouble, and they're trying to put out deceit and lies, but I don't think they're going to succeed, and I think we just have to be willing to stand up and explain this and show that the American people really support this issue. But there's no question a lot of what they've done timing-wise with ads in general, especially these really nasty negative ads, have been in coinciding with early voting.
Yeah. Ben in South Orange, New Jersey. You're on the air with Congressman Mark Pocan.
Hi, Congressman. I was just wondering what your thoughts were about Barbara Lee becoming the next Speaker of the House should the Democrats take over.
Yeah, so Barbara Lee is not running for Speaker. Barbara Lee is running for caucus chair. So the way our structure is, we have a few spots at the head of the caucus as far as if we get the majority to be Speaker.
You're talking the Democratic caucus, not the Progressive caucus. Right.
Yeah, no, Democratic caucus as a whole, right. Correct.
So that would be all the Democrats in the House.
Yeah, assistant majority leader, a whip position, and then we have a caucus chair and assistant caucus chair. Barbara Lee ran 2 years ago for caucus chair, lost by a couple votes. I think it was 4 votes, and she's running for that again as caucus chair right now. We also have some other progressive caucus members who are very active running, including David Cicilline from Rhode Island, running for assistant majority leader, and Catherine Clark from Massachusetts, who's running for assistant caucus chair. So Barbara Lee is definitely running for one of the leadership spots, as are some other progressives. We're excited to get more progressives into the leadership, but she's not running for Speaker, and I don't think she has any intention to, even if it would open up. I think she's really very focused on being our caucus chair, organizing our caucus activities.
Yeah. Okay. Congressman Mark Pocan is with us. It's Middays with Mark, Thursday, second hour edition, and taking your calls for the hour. You can reach Congressman Pocan's website at pocan.house.gov. He is the co-chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus. He represents the 2nd District of Wisconsin. You can tweet him at Rep. Mark Pocan, R-E-P. Mark, M-A-R-K, Pocan, P-O-C-A-N.